Hi, good evening. As mentioned earlier, tonight I'm going to speak about the impact of absent parents. The impact of absent parents is wide and far reaching in many ways. And before I get into exploring the impact of absent parents, I need to identify to what I mean by absent parents. What I mean by absent parents in the obvious sense would be a single parent home or a home where there are no parents, a guardian, a grandparent, a brother, sister, auntie, whatever. But I want to extend it to the impact of absent parents where parents are right there in the home but are not parenting as they ought to. And I feel like there are a lot of parents, single parents, who do a good job as a single parent. But there are some households that have both parents, but the parenting is not taking place. So, encompassing where the parenting is not taking place, even though both parents are present, as well as situations where there's a single parent household or no actual parent, the impact of that absence is far reaching. The truth is that parents are important to a child's normal development. They're the first teachers and role models, not only responsible for providing things and food and clothing, etc., but it's for their emotional well-being and their sense of protection or safety, as it were. And when you have children who do not have one parent or both parents in their lives, you get into behavioral problems. One such example I would say is, they might be a little more aggressive. They may be, lash out at things. But the thing is that children use the aggression as a shield. In the absence of the parents being the comfort and warmth and protection that the child has, when the child reaches, especially teen years, they begin to realize that nobody has their back, as it were, And therein lies the vulnerability I was speaking about last night as relates to young people joining gangs. And it goes back to, again, the absence of parents or the impact of the absence of parents. And so it causes the aggressive behavior. And while I don't like to quote US studies or international studies, the thing is that we don't have a lot of local research. But I think we could surmise that there are similar conclusions where it comes to speaking about research showing that, it is higher in terms of criminal behavior and aggressive behavior in homes where a parent is absent or both parents are absent. So the aggression and those types of behaviors happen more in those situations. Just to touch on parents who are there but are not there, you see situations where teenagers come home and they bring home something that is not theirs. Most parents, as far as I know, would question where you get this item from. And we have situations where some parents don't ask these questions. Actually, they welcome the gifts, which encourages the children to go out more. And there is I don't want to use the word understandable side to this, but there is a situation where a young man might see his mother raising him on her own, and she has to work extra hours. She has to take care of all the chores and go to work and come home and take care of things. And that encourages the same aggression that I was speaking about, but not towards his mother, but towards fixing that situation. And unfortunately, without guidance, they see that fixing of that situation as going and joining a gang or going and stealing from other people so that his mother wouldn't have to work as hard. Now that is irrational to a lot of us, but as a teenager, it would seem rational to them. That's okay, Cassie. You're just going through here. So parents need to understand that they need to be talking to their children and listening to their children, not just barking orders, but listening to their children so that they can appreciate where their children are at, especially single parent households, because the aggression may not be displayed at home, but it will be in school and at society, which you would call delinquent criminal behavior, which, as I said, is mostly with teens and so forth. But parents, there are some situations that cannot be avoided. But I want to focus on the situations that can be avoided, which would be with single parents as well as homes where both parents are there, but they're consumed by other things as opposed to actual parenting, or allow their children to roam free. And there's this thing about some parents saying that their child is their friend and so forth, and not really getting a true depiction of what a parent-child relationship should be, right? And therein lies some of the problems. And the downstream effect, again, apart from criminality, would be academic performance that depreciates because the child is either missing the father or mother, or having anger and hatred consume them for whatever reason based on the specific circumstances of that situation. I welcome anybody to say anything regarding impact of absent parents. I mean, I'm touching on a few things, but basically, this impact, as you would recognize from what I've said so far, reaches not just how the home is, but how a community is affected because of young people joining gangs, you know, the effect of gangs. And then as a country, the crime rates and so forth are then affected. And then you have unemployable persons because, of course, even if they turn their lives around after one criminal incident that they are charged with, they can't provide a certificate of character. So that the effect of absent parents is so far-reaching that it must be addressed. And some parents may think that they're a parent, they have a child, I don't, whatever, so I don't understand what it is to be parents. And the truth is, that's not the case. Sometimes, and as far as I'm concerned, in my experience and my research and my counseling of many parents, the thing is to communicate with the child, but assert yourself as a parent to the child so that the child knows, hey, this is my parent, this person cares for me, but they want me to lead a certain path. And it used to be said that it takes a community or a village to raise a child, and that is not happening as well. Sometimes the neighbor is required to parent the child a little bit if they see something when the actual parent is not around. And we are not doing those things anymore because if we do it, the child's actual parent might come and cuss us out, and those kinds of things. So there is not a close-knit society anymore. And so the gangs actually represent a closer-knit unit than a lot of families, than a lot of communities, because they have each other's back. They will kill for you. That's how committed they are to each other. And the family unit, the traditional family unit, lacks that now. So that obviously gangs and other things, other people who may have ill intent for them would be more attractive than their own homes with their parents, etc. So that's my contribution on it, in the sense that parents who have their kids need to know that they need to parent on a daily basis. I am tired of hearing, he was a nice child, he never do anything wrong. But they were taking things when he brought it home and not questioning where he got it from, and those kinds of things, you know. And then encouraging them in ill behaviors. A lot of parents are not parenting. And you will see a lot of things that I say bridging one to the next, because a lot of issues come again from the family unit, from the community level, and of course reaches the national level. So that parents or persons with responsibility for a child, it is not just feeding that child, it is not just clothing that child, it is not just scolding that child, it is about disciplining that child as well, and showing them by example how they should grow and how they should live. You have others who tell the child, do this, but they are doing that. So that there is a constant disconnect in terms of how parents parent. And it's unfortunate I don't have a different word to use, because parenting is one thing and being a parent is another. And so there's a disparity in the action part of being a parent in this country. A lot of parents are not parenting, and that is why we have a crime situation as it is. And so we really need to encourage parents to be parents. That is the word, so that is the word I have to use. You have to encourage parents to be parents, and guardians to parent the charges that they're responsible for. Because the impact is seen every day when you see gang violence, when you see children on the street, when you see all these different things. The impact of absent parents is far-reaching in so many areas, and it affects us as a nation beyond what we could probably comprehend, because this is the next generation of adults who are not being parented right now. So then we really ought to pull up on the socks of our neighbors and everyone. I have done it a few times. Some parents, if they see this, would know that I would say if I see something wrong, and I would speak to any child I see doing something wrong, even though that child is not mine, because children need to be parented, to be guided, to be protected, and we are not doing that sufficiently. From a state level, we so many years we have the Children's Authority coming on stream, and so many years talking about social workers and those kinds of things. And I mean, the murder rate and murder toll is in the news a lot, so we don't hear about the number of cases of child abuse and sexual abuse and child abandonment and those kinds of things. But those things are still happening. And we, as a country, the powers that be need to invest in proper accommodation and proper monitoring and proper counseling for parents, for children who are affected by absence of parents and so forth. The social work system as it is even with the new legislation in place, is not sufficient. It is not where it ought to be. It is not effective. And so that, coupled with parents who are there not doing their jobs, really is the catalyst for all the negativity, or a lot of the negativity that we see. So this is my contribution for today on the impact of the absence of parents. Thank you and have a good evening.